When we think of ancient Egypt, do we remember more its pyramids, pharaohs, tombs, jewels, giant statues, or the people who ate breakfast, worked, took care of their families, and also sought to feel good in their own bodies? Today we're going to leave the temples behind for a moment and enter a house. We're going to discover how ordinary people really lived, because a civilization isn't built solely with kings. It's built with families, with cooks, with farmers, with artisans, with children, with people who wake up every morning and continue with their lives. Imagine opening your eyes 3,500 years ago in the Nile Valley in northeast Africa, which we know today as Egypt. The sun hasn't fully risen yet. The air is fresh. The Nile River is nearby. The house where you sleep is made mainly of mud brick. The walls remain relatively cool. The roofs are usually flat. The most families live simply. These aren't palaces. They are practical spaces. They sleep on raised beds or simple surfaces. There are containers, baskets, tools, everyday objects. Life begins early, very early, because the weather sets the pace. By the time the heat rises, much of the important work must already be done. For a large part of the population, food revolves around something surprisingly simple: bread and beer. But not beer as we imagine it today. It was an everyday drink, thicker, nutritious, and a normal part of their diet. They also ate onions, garlic, dates, figs, lentils, vegetables, fish, and when possible, meat. The cycles of the Nile River. The Nile River was much more than a landscape. It was a source of water, of food, of transportation, of organization. Everything seemed to revolve around the river. And something interesting: the annual flooding of the Nile was not seen as a disaster. It was renewal. It brought sediment. It allowed for cultivation. It marked cycles. The calendar itself was deeply connected to this movement. And now, in another moment of reflection, we find another of the most iconic and relevant ancient civilizations in the history of humanity, whose calendar was governed by the natural cycles of the sun, the earth, and, in the case of the Egyptians, the river. Today we have agendas, alarms, clocks. But what have we retained of our connection to natural cycles, and what have we lost? After breakfast, work begins. But not everyone did the same thing. Some farmed, others fished, others built, others worked stone, others made textiles, others wrote. Yes, scribes held a very special place, because writing was a limited skill. Those who knew how to read and record information had different opportunities. Learning to write required practice, discipline, and training. Children began to learn by observing, participating, listening. Formal education existed mainly for certain groups, but much of the knowledge was transmitted by living, watching, repeating. Physical activity was also naturally integrated. Exercise as a modern concept didn't exist, but walking, building, transporting, farming, swimming, rowing, all involved constant movement. There are even representations of games, competitions, wrestling, recreational activities. The relationship with the body seemed to be different. It wasn't something separate from life. It was part of daily functioning. And here something interesting emerges. We often imagine Egypt as a civilization obsessed with death. But perhaps they were deeply committed to life. Hygiene was important. There are records of the use of oils, ointments, perfumes, cosmetics, not only for aesthetics, but also for protection, for care, for well-being. Makeup even had practical functions. It helped protect the eyes from the sun and from the environment. A question worth asking is, today we dedicate time to personal care, but is it really a modern practice? If someone 3,000 years in the future found objects from our current routine, what would they say about us? In ancient Egypt, there was also time for gatherings, celebrations, music, stories. Music accompanied rituals, but also everyday moments. Instruments were used, clapping, singing, because a civilization is also built around joy and something beautiful. Although there were clear social differences, most people shared a common experience: working, eating, caring for family, resting, waiting for the next season, watching the river, watching the sky, and moving on. Perhaps that's what connects us most to them. Not the pyramids, not the gold, not the monuments, but discovering that they also had quiet days, difficult days, moments of weariness, moments of celebration, and a routine that gave meaning to their existence. Perhaps that's why we keep looking at Egypt, because beneath the mystery, beneath time, beneath the sand, we continue finding something very human. If you enjoyed this content, remember to like the video and subscribe to continue exploring more about this fascinating civilization. In the next episode, we'll delve into one of the most fascinating topics: science, medicine, architecture, mathematics, and we'll discover how such an ancient civilization managed to develop ideas that continue to amaze us today.